And there you guys go. These are the 6 criteria that I use to assess a problem with my kids to see if it's worth it or not. Again, it's popular, growing, crisis, better off, profitability, frequently. You guys got that? Did you get that? No, not really. Rewind. What's up guys, thank you for checking out this video. There's gonna be some cool entrepreneurial tips and tricks here. This is part of a Kidpreneurship course for parents I recorded. So if you wanna check out the entire course, module 1 is right over here. Or you can check out our regular actual YouTube videos, which shares tips, tricks, roadmap strategies to help you build profitable businesses. Lastly, this is a non-for-profit YouTube channel, so 100% of YouTube AdSense revenue will be donated to legal registered charities that support youth entrepreneurship. So the more we share, the more we care. Thank you so much for your support, and let's get on with the video. Peace. Now, we come up with a lot of problems in this world, and if you have a company idea or some kind of idea, the question is this the right idea to run with? And so you want to help your children identify ideas and then even rank the ideas, right? And so there are a bunch of, let's say, criteria you could leverage. And I have 6 criteria, and they kind of were inspired by this, what's called an incubator, which is an organization that helps startups grow. And the world's most prestigious incubator in tech, at least, is called Y Combinator out of the Silicon Valley. And so they have this thing called Startup School, which is phenomenal. I highly recommend you to, especially if your kid's into tech and changing the world with like a problem that's gonna change billions of people's lives, is to go to and I guess I could link it, to YouTube and search Y Combinator School and watch their videos. It's amazing. Another guy, which I just recently discovered, is Gary Tan, Garrry Tan. His channel is pretty epic too in the tech world. So love it. 2 of my kids watch it with me, and it's so much fun. We all grow together. Now, what are the 6 criteria that I learned from these guys? So these are not theirs, but I have modified the last 3, I guess, of them. So the first one is when they bring up a problem, the big question is it popular? Do many people have this problem? So I would ask my son, do you think a lot of people are thirsty? He says, yes. I'm like, when are people most thirsty? So he obviously thinks about it when it's really hot or when he just finishes exercising and playing outside. So he would say, I think people are very thirsty when it's really hot outside and when they just came from playing a lot. Right, so he's always thirsty at playing, so he knows when the problems occur. And he says there's a lot of people playing outside, there are always people in the playground, people here, people there, that he thinks there's a lot of people who have this problem. Next is it a growing problem? First, is it popular? And then the other one, is it trending upwards? Is it growing? So can we, as the kids get older, it gets easier of course, but can we show month to month, day to day, year to year, can we find proof that this problem is growing? Because the last thing you want to do is solve a problem that is shrinking, right? That's not a very good business idea if you're trying to solve a problem or a crisis, shall we, that is getting less, that's not growing because maybe it's being solved or maybe the problem's not a problem anymore. Who knows, right? Then the next one is crisis. Yes, crisis. Is it considered a crisis? So we see all these problems, like, guys I noticed a lot of people have an itchy elbow. Yeah. They're always itchy, but is it a crisis? Somehow they just deal with it. Scratch. Will they spend money on it, right? Is it a crisis? So do they feel they have to take action? It's not the money part, but the first 3, nothing to do with money at the moment. Is it popular? A lot of people have it. Growing month to month, more people have it. And crisis. Is it a problem where they have to take action, right? So those are the first 3 criteria. The next criteria is what I call the better off factor. And it's something that I added on my own because I really want my kids to think of problems and solutions that's gonna make the world a better place. So will the customer be better off, when this crisis is solved? Will the environment or people or the community be better off when the crisis is solved, right? So that's like something I sort of just added on my own, more because I want my kids to be responsible, right? And I think about something like, we talked about our little coffee pot machine things, and just years ago, and we're like, what would be a great thing to solve is if the company that sells these things gives us a way to recycle it. And guess what? years later, or maybe not years later, they restarted that. But nowadays, the Nespresso, they send you, they give you these recycling bags so you could just mail it from home. I think that's pretty cool. And my eldest really thought about that. The next one is, so now we have popular, growing, crisis, better off factor. Then I call it a profit proof, right? And it not necessarily mean profit proof, but really, is there proof that people are actually spending on it? So are there products out there that address this concern? How are the products? Are people spending on it? How much are people spending it? So this is almost like the analysis of the solutions and seeing if people are actually paying for it. Because I have seen even technology companies, startups that create a solution and their competitors that they're kind of competing against, well, it turns out the competitors really didn't make that much money either. It looked great on paper, but at the end of the day, they all died. Or they didn't really see the big picture for a particular product. I mean, I've been thinking of a few products that, like for example, group buying sites. You know, Groupon, the moment they kind of came out, a lot of other companies copied them, but then that entire business started tanking and tanking and tanking. But it's funny how people are trying to find a better model to one-up Groupon, but without even thinking about the ultimate damage that it was actually creating that created backlash in this entire type of business, which is so many people were deeply discounted to the point where they were running themselves out of business. Who's to blame? Hey man, my hands, I'm not talking about anything here, but I'm talking about that didn't work as well as I thought, right? Even the shared spaces, you know, WeWork these days, I mean, they talk about how much of a disaster that business is. And truth be told, I really haven't really looked into this. All I can see are headlines, so I'm gonna speak from somewhat an innocent space where I don't really know too much about WeWork and shared office spaces, but clearly that didn't work either. And the models that have copied it also have not been working great. There are some I think that might be working, but hey man, it's an industry where it's not rising, growing popularity, and people aren't really trying to come up with a better off version. And now with COVID, I mean, it's a whole different story. Back to the beginning. Popular, a lot of people, growing, trending upward. Crisis, do people have to take action? Better off factor, if solved, does the world and the people come in place, or are we not adding more harm by solving this problem? Like, you know, hey, we got a bunch of drug addicts who are running out of drugs, let's give them more drugs. You know, no, that doesn't work that way, right? Like, at least for me, it doesn't, right? So I really want to inspire my kids to think for the better, right? Next is profit proof. Is there proof that people are actually spending money on it? And the options are out there that are out there, people are considering and they are buying. So now you come in and become one of the choices, which I will discuss later on in terms of value and choice, things like that, right? And the last one, which I call it like the bonus, is that does it happen frequently? Does it happen ongoing in a point where you can provide something that's more subscription based, right? I am personally a big fan of anything that drives subscription rather than a one-off, right? And so if that's a bonus, if something you could offer drives subscription, that would be great. And that's it. Those are the elements I'd like to talk about crisis. So to review, people buy on a crisis, not on a problem, because crisis just means you are very emotionally tied to the problem you're having, and it's so disastrous that most people, when it's a crisis, they need to take action. It's very emotional, and so appealing to that emotion is really important, and offering a really good solution that's gonna solve their crisis is gonna trigger that customer to engage with you. There are 6 criteria, 5th being a bonus really, the 6th one being a bonus, but is it popular? Is it growing? Is it a crisis? Is it better off factor? Is there profit proof? Are people spending on it? And lastly, does it happen frequently? That's it guys, we'll see you at the next one. Peace out. Booyah!